End of the semester is coming, and it occurs to me that some of the people who are friends with me on Facebook now, who are going to see this, are getting ready to graduate from college. And I always like to say something to everybody I know at the end of the semester, students who have come through my door, whether it's just another semester or if the last semester is staring them in the face. But things are a little bit different, so I'm going to do it a little bit differently because we're in an unprecedented situation. It has got to be scaring the hell out of at least some of you that the situation of graduating is so uncertain. I don't know how much better it'll make you feel, but I got to tell you, it's not that much to be afraid of. Things are going to work out okay. First time I graduated from college, there was a recession going on and I could not find any work. Second time I graduated from college, it was still a really bad time to try and get work. When I graduated from high school, I had a bunch of networking training that would have gotten me a job pretty much anywhere I went. And the dot-com bubble exploded. So these things happen. And I don't want to minimize the situation that's staring you in the face because I know it's scaring the hell out of you. But I want to let you know that sometimes you've got to go sideways in order to go forward. You may have to take a really shitty job in order to keep your head above water. But it's okay, because really shitty jobs are the places where you get the best stories. I'm working a pretty fun job right now. As you can imagine, if you've seen me teach, you know I have fun with it. I have great stories that come out of there. I've got great stories that come out of my really shitty jobs. At least 3 or 4 people who are friends with me on Facebook know which shitty job that is. I have met some of my best friends in the classroom. I've met some great friends at the pizza place. And so I'm going to tell you some stories about stupid things that happen to me at work. Because you have to have a job like that in order to get some stupid stories. The inaugural story I'm going to tell is about how I became a teacher at Murray State University, because it is a chronicle of me failing upwards spectacularly. I graduated in December of 2005, I think. I'm going to have to check on that and get back to you because I don't remember. But I graduated in December of 2005 and found almost no work. I had been screwing up the works as a student worker for approximately 3.5 years in tech support. And they were finally rid of me, which I'm sure was cause for great celebration because I will get to the president's story. But when I left, I had trained somebody to replace me who ended up quitting, and I got a call asking me if I would come back. They said, you know, we can give you a student worker position if you're in grad school. So I kind of looked around and saw a program that would fit my needs and kind of fit my prior experience, which is the Master's in TESOL. It's an accelerated study program, so it's like a master's degree in 1.5 years. And so I got into that and found out that I really kind of liked it because of the promise of travel, which didn't exactly happen, and we can get to that some other story. But so I had this degree that qualified me to go anywhere and teach at any specific level that I wanted to. And I was really excited the second time I graduated, but still no work. The closest I came to getting hired was a Korean company that tried to scam me into sending my passport via DHL to Korea and then get on a plane and fly to Korea and somehow get off the plane without a passport. Yeah. So naturally, I did not send my passport and just continued to languish in Murray, Kentucky, which, as you can imagine, is just as exciting as it sounds. So I did a lot of freelance work. I did some technical writing. I did some office work, just whatever came along, just to keep my head above water and pay the bills that were slowly starting to accumulate. And then I got a call to do some reception work in the international admissions department back when Woods Hall still existed. And I was there for a couple of months. It was in the late spring, early summertime because somebody was on maternity leave. And it was a nice way of getting my toe in the water at Murray State, but it was one of those things that I knew wouldn't amount to anything. So I just tackled it with as much enthusiasm as I could. And when it ended, I went back to doing what I did. And the thing of it was, my mom kept her eye out on the newspaper because I'm sure she was getting tired of me taking up space in her house. I mean, you have got to understand, I am a complete idiot. You can ask any of my former supervisors, my mother, 50% of my siblings, or any woman who has known me for longer than 20 minutes, and they will back me up on this claim. I am not qualified to be in charge of other people. But she found an ad in the newspaper and said, "Hey, Mike, you might want to apply for this." Sounds like something. I'm like, there is no possible way I could be qualified to teach English at Murray State University. But being the dutiful son I was, I went ahead and applied with like a day left in the application process. And I did not expect to ever hear back because Murray State sucks at that. HR department will absolutely throw out just about everything you send through them unless you know somebody on that campus. I've worked there 10 years. I've got ridiculous experience in several different departments. Most positions I apply for, I never hear back from. I have no idea what algorithm they use, but I figured that application would get tossed out with the rest of them. But it didn't. I got a phone call while I was brushing my teeth from somebody trying to set up an interview, and I had a toothbrush in my mouth, a mouthful of toothpaste foam, and I'm like trying to sound academic as hell. Yeah, we're gonna need you to come in for an interview. Like, That's a total of Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Gotcha. And so I'm sweating bullets. And whenever you get a big interview, you have to tell your parents if you're on that kind of terms with them. And I'm like, "Hey, Mom, I've got an interview." I don't interview well either. See the dating videos? That's kind of the way my interviews go too. So I get prepped to show up for this interview and end up in the office of a very nondescript human being who I sat down prepared to go over my full credentials, still not quite believing that I was qualified for this. And he just hands me a textbook and says, "Start date." And I was like, "Don't you want to know whether or not I can argue that I deserve this job?" "Nope. You've got the requisite hours." And if you've ever had a really shitty experience with a new teacher, it could be because the vetting process is not that great. Like I said, I ended up there. So anyway, my first experience in the classroom was a shit show from the word go. I will fully admit I had no idea what I was doing, despite having a master's degree in the process of being prepared to teach. You walk in the classroom and it's like, okay, I got to throw out everything I just, yeah. So improvisation is the name of the game, kids. And I just got really good at it with all the practice I had. But I happened to find I was really suited to that position, but it was not easy going at first. I doubted myself a lot. I thought about quitting a lot. I didn't like it a lot the first few times I did it. And that's kind of the moral of the story, is to remember that whatever job you take going into graduation, anything else. You may not like it at first, but you have to make it your job. I figured out what worked for me. I made some friends with some great mentors. One of them also has a great crop of irises growing in his yard. So congratulations to him. Mine are still trying to figure out whether to open up or not. But even as a teacher, I was still able to do some really dumb shit that paid off in a great way because I remembered to have fun with it. I even took some additional jobs. At one point, I was working like 5 jobs at the same time and still doing dumb shit, and it was still the best time of my life. And if you stick around, I promise to tell some actual funny stories about dumb job experiences I've had. But the dumbest one in my life so far was not expecting to be qualified for the position I currently fill. And I mean, I was right, but nobody else needs to know that. Talk to you later. Stay safe.